Is this work? Yeah, there it is. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society. We are grateful to gather on this beautiful morning, both in person and online, for the time of inspiration, reflection, and connection. Whether you join us today with joy in your heart, weighted with burdens, or searching for meaningful connections, we are glad that you are here. If you're newer to the community, we invite you to learn more about Unitarian Universalism and this congregation after the service. For those of you here in person, you can talk to a greeter in the atrium. For those online, there's a link to the visitor form in the YouTube notes that will let you connect with us. For those of you who are in person, please silence your phones. If you need to use an app or device to help you engage in this worship service, feel free to connect to the UUS Wi-Fi. We ask everyone else to make sure you're not connected to the UUS Wi-Fi during the service. I'm John Bowman, a member of this congregation and a worship associate. My pronouns are he and him. The minister of this congregation, the Reverend Diana Smith, is on temporary medical leave. Today's service was coordinated by Sally Hartman, Miriam, Kashia, and Val Bowman. As Unitarian Universalists, we covenant together to affirm and promote 7 principles which we hold as strong values and moral guides. This congregation has endorsed the adoption of an 8th principle, which calls us to be committed to active anti-racism. Love is the core value of our covenantal faith. As people of many ages, genders, races, sexual orientation, classes, abilities, and health status, we gather together as a radically welcoming spiritual community. During our service, we draw inspiration and meaning from thoughtful people of the past and the present, and use sources as diverse as poetry, nature, science, and personal experience. This morning, we honor the life of John Lewis. We celebrate and explore the first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Before we begin our service, we pause to remember that each of us is sustained by the land where we make our homes and our livelihoods, land that was once dominated by tall grass prairie. We remember that centuries before colonization, Native people lived in interdependence with this land that we call home. We give thanks for their stewardship, and we seek to live more sustainably on this land. We begin our worship together with words from Melanie Davis, the UUA OWL program manager. If ever there were a time for a candle in the darkness, this would be it. Using a spark of hope, kindle the flame of love, ignite the light of peace, and feed the flame of justice.
I'm Alex Heatland, I'm your music director. And in the back, oh, it's still good, they're still going. I think I'm mic number 2 now. Do you know, so Christine and Dan, who are frantically trying to make this work, are making sure that you can hear everybody today. Oh, yeah! So I hope, when you see Dan or Christine after the service, I hope you'll thank them for the work that they do many Sundays to make things happen. All right, thank you. I do feel a little hot right now. On the mic I feel hot. It feels ringy. And over here, Xinhui. Behind me is the UUS singers. We're going to sing today. You excited? But today, right now, we get to sing together, which is one of my literal favorite things in life, is making music in a big group together like this. So I hope that you will join in, sing proud. This is the Fire of Commitment. It's in the whatever color this hymnal is, number 1028, or it's on the screen. So I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing the Fire of Commitment. From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our minds and souls ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on the way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our minds and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. Thank you.
As Unitarian Universalists, we light a flame within a chalice as a symbol of sanctuary and safety, to unite us in our worship and to remind us of our ongoing search for the light of truth. Our chalice lighter this morning is our great-grandson, Emmons. Would you come up, Emmons? Please join me in the saying of our chalice words. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the wonder and mystery of this great gift. So let us now kindle the flame of our liberal religious heritage and renew our covenant of mutual love and care. Love is our doctrine, the quest for truth is our sacrament, and service as our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to serve those in need. This we promise this we covenant with life and one another. When we light our candle for justice and healing, we hold space for our understanding of interdependence, that our liberation is bound up in every other person's liberation, and our feelings of rage and heartbreak over ongoing oppression, racism, and climate chaos. We light this candle that we may not be numbed or lost to injustice and trauma, but rather find strength, courage, and love together to continue engaging with the struggles for liberation, justice, and healing. We light this candle to help remind ourselves that together we are creating resilience and hope. Today, as we light this candle, we're particularly mindful of every American's right to vote, challenging those who seek to restrict Black, brown, female, disabled, and other Americans from making their voices heard in this democracy. As I light this candle, let's hold a time of silence to listen to our hearts and bodies, or perhaps to lift up prayers.
Hey kids, I might need help with the story, okay? Good morning. John Lewis was famous for his fight for fairness. He fought for people to vote. He fought for fair housing. He fought for people to have good jobs. John Lewis was famous because he truly worked hard for all of us. He served in the legislature for 33 years as a congressman. Today I'm going to tell a story. Hey everybody. Okay. This is for you. I'm going to tell a story about John Lewis. When he was a boy, he was playing in the yard of his Aunt Seneva. And he was playing with all these kids, and they were laughing and playing. But then dark clouds appeared, and in the distance they could see lightning. The wind picked up, and Aunt Seneva said, "Hey, come on, you have to come in my house." So all the kids went in the house. There were 15 of them in this small house. And it was storming outside. They could hear the rain on the tin roof. The wind picked up. What do you think the wind was sounding like? It was howling. What do you think that was like? Woo, yeah, I hear it. The house began to shake. What do you think that looked like? Whoa, the house was shaking. There's a shake over there. Oh no, everyone was so afraid. And even more so when one of the floorboards in the corner, the floorboards started rising up with the wind. Aunt Seneva knew what to do. She said, "Okay, you kids, clasp your hands all together and go to that corner." And they did. They successfully put down the corner. But then, across the room, the other corner was rising up. And they said, "We have to go over there now." And as soon as they went over there, the other corner was up. So back and forth. So these children together saved the house from blowing up into the air.
I'm gonna nominate Bonnie to be my egg shaker helper, as she is every week nowadays. So it's time to head out for, there is stuff happening, yes? RE stuff happening? Yeah, okay, good. All right. Who's in charge? Well, we're gonna sing this song and we're gonna
Good morning. I'm Peggy Garrigus, the Director of Congregational and Community Engagement, and my pronouns are she and her. It's November and time to vote. Since 2006, the UU Society has been giving cash contributions and designated checks to agencies that we've selected. And by we mean friends and members of our congregation. So all of you could have a say in which 12 of the 22 nominated agencies are selected for receiving the monthly offerings from 2023 to 2025. An online ballot went out earlier this week, but paper ballots are also available at the welcome table. Of course, you must put your name on the ballot as you're only allowed one vote. Thank you for that. This year, the November offerings will go to the free lunch program in Iowa City. So this morning, we welcome Kai Kaiser, Director of Administrative Operations at the free lunch program, to share about the work that the free lunch program does.
Thank you, Peggy. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me into this space. It makes my heart really happy to see such a welcoming, thoughtful, and loving space where people can worship and be together and find community. As Peggy mentioned, my name is Kai. I'm here with the Iowa City Free Lunch Program. And the mission statement for FLP is an open door, a full plate, no questions asked. And those 9 words really succinctly summarize everything that we do. We were founded in 1983 by multiple community members, multiple groups of community members who saw a gap in services in Iowa City. Nobody was serving midday meals. And if you're anything like me, if you don't get your lunch, it's hard to do much else, right? So what we do is every week, Monday through Saturday, we serve free meals to members of our community. We're a low barrier service. We don't ask any questions. We only ask that people come into our dining room, and we will happily serve them what we have. We offer nutritious hot meals. We ask that groups bring in at least a fruit and a vegetable. We want to make sure to take care of the health of our community, as well as battling hunger. Over the course of the pandemic, free lunch has not missed a single serving day. We managed to adjust. We managed to keep the meals going out, to keep our guests and our volunteers safe. Unfortunately, now that means we're in a period of recovery from the extra expenses that came with the pandemic, from expenses from rising food costs, and increased staffing. So this year, we are in need more than ever of the generosity of our community. We are also always in need of volunteers. Our volunteers are the bedrock of our operation. It was an entirely volunteer-run operation until not all that long ago. Our volunteers are crucial. They're the heart and soul of the free lunch program. And so UUS will be serving this coming Friday. If anybody is interested in learning more about volunteering for the UUS group or contributing a meal or contributing foods, talk to Donna. Or if you have any questions about free lunch program, please feel free to come see me after the service. If you have any questions on any other day, our board of directors is actually Bonnie over here, and she knows far more than I do. She's been with Free Lunch for a very long time. But yeah, thank you again for having me today, and thank you for your generosity towards the community.
Thank you, Kai. I also have the pleasure of introducing a new staff member. I'd like to invite Jeremy Garvin forward. Jeremy just started this past week as our new facilities coordinator, and so he's working part-time to do preventive maintenance and care of the building to supplement the custodial team that comes in once a week to do the cleaning of the building. And Jeremy will also be helping with setup and cleanup for special UUS events and for rentals. So we're glad to welcome Jeremy to our staff.
As we enter into our time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer, we acknowledge the joys and sorrows of our congregation. We do this by dropping stones into a bowl of water, symbolically immersing our personal joys and sorrows into the flow of all life's joys and sorrows. The water surrounds and holds the stone, just as we are surrounded and held by the love and support of this congregation. As you came in today, you might have picked up a stone that you've been holding. If you did not pick up a stone when you came in, there are stones for you next to the bowl of water in front of me. At the end, I will place one last stone in the water for those joys and sorrows that remain in our hearts. If you're participating in the service elsewhere, you may wish to meditatively hold a stone or meditate on an object near you. And now, if you're in the sanctuary, please come forward and place a stone in the water as we sing Spirit of Life.
life, the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come unto us. Spirit of life, come unto us. Sing in our hearts, sing in our hearts, all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of joy. Roots hold us close, roots hold us close, wings set us free, wings set us free. Spirit of, come unto us, come to us, come to us.
We have some readings today, the first of which is from Reverend Diana. When I first got involved in environmental work over 20 years ago, I already knew we'd gone past multiple targets, and I faced the question of hopelessness and despair. But I found that writing from lots of incredible justice makers spoke to me about finding hope. We decide to hope. We decide to act, because that is what we are called to do. And that is what love means. And this is from an article in UU World Magazine by the Reverend Mary Catherine Mourn, UU Service President, who, by the way, wrote the lyrics to the Fire of Commitment, our opening hymn. We're living in times marked by dramatic inequality and division. In this moment, each and every one of us has an opportunity to serve as a moral counterweight. We must strive to face these issues and continue to grow in our ability to see, understand, and live into our kinship with one another. In a time when we too often strip others of their personhood based on their identities or their actions, we are called to do the revolutionary, liberating work of seeing each other's humanity. It goes something like this. John Lewis was a shy black kid with a stutter who was determined to be a preacher while growing up in rural Alabama during the Jim Crow era. He'd practice his calling by going out to the hen house on his family's farm and delivering sermons to his captive flock.
Good morning and good trouble. I knew it was a good morning when I got in my car and my clock in my car was at the right time. And not only that is, I knew it was at the right time. So it is a good morning, and a good morning to talk about good trouble. We heard the story about John Lewis and how the wind took up the house and the floorboards, and the children all gathered and put it down. You could say it's a story about working together, But underneath that, in addition, it is a story about defying something nefarious. And that's what good trouble is. It's not just doing good, it's addressing an evil. Several weeks ago, we explored good trouble in terms of what was going on with elections and what we could do with the ballot. I got to thinking about that, and I thought, there really is something happening in this congregation. So if you're gonna take a mental break and daydream or take a nap or something, do it after I say this. I believe this congregation is on the cusp of beginning to work for good trouble. Now, how do I know this? There's two ways I know this. One is the foundation that we have for this work, and two, the good trouble that's already happening. So let's start with the foundation of this work. I think it's in three areas I'm so impressed with. One is our ability to work together. Two is our level of knowledge and education. And three, our bountiful empathy. So let's start with one, the foundation. Look at this building. We built this building. We built it together. It wasn't one person or one group. It was all of us. It took all of us. There are other things we do working together. We have hospitality teams. Every Sunday, a different team. We have donut crews. Sorry about that. I meant work crews that go out on Saturday mornings and plant grass and pull weeds. Then, of course, there's free lunch. People working all together on the second Friday of the month. So the second thing is how knowledgeable we are. We have so many ways that we are learning. Besides Sunday morning, we have newsletters and updates. We have a magazine, which I meant to bring, that has great articles on such things as green churches. And if you didn't see the article about us, check it out. We have programs, there's events. Tonight, there's a Diwali event. We do much to learn about everything that we can learn about that helps us. The third thing, so I talked about working together and then the knowledge base we have, and the third one is empathy, and that is truly a gift we have. The bountiful energy and empathy, has to do with all the things that we give offerings, for example. All of it goes to nonprofits. We support a lot of immigrant families. We do much to support our community because of our empathetic gift. All these things are a great foundation. But good trouble is already happening, I assure you. So when I think of good trouble, I think of Gay Michelson standing in the bitter cold in front of University of Iowa hospitals protesting wage theft. When I think of good trouble, I think of Kathy Hotzenpiller standing up to a local police chief and telling him that discrimination exists in the police force because too many Black citizens are stopped and arrested. When I think of good trouble, I think of Mary McCann advocating for students in a local school district, but also standing up to the school board and explaining that a church can give money to a school district and not have nefarious intent. That would be our church. When I think of Good Trouble, I think of Green Sanctuary and how we are meeting to help me, Deb, certify, no, that's not it. Where's Deb? Reaccreditation, thank you. The word just could not come right then. Reaccreditation, because the plan for that reaccreditation includes Good Trouble. When I think of Good Trouble, I think back a long time ago, 2014, in Phoenix, Arizona. 2,000 UUs showed up to protest Sheriff Arpaio's tent jails. Immigrants were kept in these jails for detention. It was a vigil. We had candles, but we could not see the jail because the fences were really high. But we knew they could hear our singing voices. We knew that they could hear our chants. That was such a poignant and powerful experience for me. And it was Good Trouble, because Sheriff Arpaio is no longer. We have to get on the Good Trouble train. Like the choir is going to sing about, put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. So let's talk about these steps. So there's like baby steps. Show up at one of the team meetings, the racial justice or the social justice or the Green Sanctuary teams. Show up. Another thing that we can do that's kind of a little bigger step would be to attend a rally in Des Moines. Now this sounds like, oh my gosh, this is big. But listen. It is to protest the pipelines, carbon capture pipelines that are going all through Iowa. And these pipelines are not a good idea because they promote the use of fossil fuel. They destroy farmland. They do not they take advantage of farmers with eminent domain, and they're poisonous. If they leak, there would be a loss of life. So this Wednesday, hop on the Good Trouble train. We're planning to have a carpool, so let Miriam or myself know and come with us. You know, not all of us are naturally born changers or activists. John Lewis was not a naturally born speaker, but he went in front of those chickens and he became the John Lewis that we know. Well, we don't have to go to the hen house and speak to chickens. But we have to recognize that we are changing, we are evolving. We are defying that wind that is blowing up the floorboards in our society. We are doing this. We are doing Good Trouble collectively, peacefully, and with reverence and grace.
Thank you, Sally. You're a hard act to follow. Good morning, everyone, here and at home. I'm happy to see half your faces. You know, I've been called many things in my life, but my favorite was a name given to me by some young folks during an action together a couple of years ago. Did you know that I'm a badass? I was a little offended until I realized it was a compliment for someone who participates in making good trouble for the greater good. Now, I'm proud of that moniker, and I'm here today to tell you why. And of course, why I choose to make good trouble. My life has been blessed by adventures in the natural world from when I was a child and persists to this day. Almost every day, I walk outside to comfort myself, to center myself, and to absorb nature's wonders. I've also paid attention my whole adult life to the scientific reports of pollution of our air, land, and waterways, and the mass destruction of habitat for our animal kin. I followed disturbing scientific reports about global warming for over 20 years with increasing alarm until in 2014, at the age of 71, determined to put my concern into action, I walked over 3,000 miles across America from Los Angeles to the White House with the Great March for Climate Action. We were a ragtag group of ordinary folks of all ages, walking and camping for 8 months, holding rallies, visiting schools and churches, speaking to local folks and press, and sounding the alarm about the impending climate catastrophe. That was 9 years ago. This congregation graciously hosted us when we walked through Iowa City in July of 2014. Any of you remember that? Woo! Thanks again. That arduous journey transformed me and my life. I started as a concerned citizen and ended up as a climate action warrior. Protecting the earth, our mother, is a sacred calling for me. And in these heartbreaking, chaotic, and dangerous times, my motto is, action is the antidote to despair. I'm almost 80 and I've still got it. On my three trips to Standing Rock in 2016, in support of the indigenous resistance to the DAPL pipeline, I learned that warrior means protector in the Lakota language. Since then, I've been arrested 4 times for organized nonviolent direct actions, attempting to protect our planet home from escalating destruction. Good trouble for sure. Indigenous friendships, wisdom, and action have been an integral part of my journey as we marched and protested side by side. Standing Rock was a community of prayer, ceremony, cooperation, amazing accomplishment, bold resistance, and truly an indigenous cultural renaissance. I visited the North Dakota camp 3 times. First, April of 2016, I went to South Dakota to support the Lakota people at the only hearing allowed on the proposed Dakota Access DAPL pipeline by the Army Corps of Engineers. They were limited to only 2 hours to make their case against the DAPL permit. It was intense and heartbreaking to hear grandmothers, chieftains, youngsters, indigenous scientists, and many others speak about the potential devastation to their water and sacred sites. At the end, A cold-hearted Army Corps of Engineer captain said, "Thank you for coming. Now we will do our job." And they issued the permit. While I was there, I heard about a New Lakota protest campsite called Spirit Rock, about 20 miles north in North Dakota, so I went there. I found a kitchen lean-to, a few tents, one teepee, all housing about a dozen Native people and allies. Little did any of us know what was ahead for that nascent camp. 5 months later, in September, I returned. This time there were 10,000 people from all over the world in a huge, well-organized tent town. I met people from Africa, Norway, South America, who came in support of indigenous rights. At that time, it was the second largest town in North Dakota, and there were 150 American Native tribes represented. While I was there, 500 clergy of many denominations from around the country came in support of Standing Rock. I was really proud to see so many UU ministers among them, some of whom risked arrest. On my third visit, the day after the election, in November of 2016, I crawled out of my tent, not knowing who had won. Then I saw my friend's face. I knew, and I fell into her arms sobbing. She took me by the hand and led me to the center of the camp, to the large gathering around the sacred fire. A woman that I knew from the mental health first aid teepee where I volunteered saw my distress and came up to me. She said she had just spoken to one of the elders, one of the Lakota elders, and wanted me to know what he said. "Today we will drum and dance and sing, and we will not give in to fear, because it is fear that feeds the darkness." Despite courageous resistance at Standing Rock and also here in Iowa, the DAPL was completed in 2017 and pumps up to 1 million barrels of dirty oil per day from North Dakota shale fields. Excuse me. Across South Dakota, Iowa, to Patoka, Illinois, where it is refined and shipped to the Gulf for export on the world's markets, making huge profits for fossil fuel companies. To this day, there is no completed environmental impact statement. Oh, I gotta show you. Now is the time for more good trouble. There are 3 CO2 pipeline petitions that Sally referenced, pending before the unelected 3-person Iowa Utilities Board appointed by our governor. The purported purpose of these pipelines is to capture carbon emissions from ethanol plants, convert it to liquid form, and ship it via pipeline to be stored safely underground. They would cross 56 Iowa counties, stretching about 1,700 miles total. Sally talked about the dangers of the pipelines, so I'm not going to repeat that except to say they're very dangerous. And local emergency services are not equipped to handle any such emergency if there's a leak. And emergency vehicles can't operate without oxygen, which is displaced by the carbon dioxide. Although the pipeline companies claim these CCS pipelines will help with the climate crisis, the scientific evidence, thank you. The scientific evidence says otherwise. There is only one reason for these pipelines to be constructed. And the billions of taxpayer dollars available for this unproven and dangerous CCS, carbon capture and sequestration technology, will take funds away from safe, proven, natural methods of capturing carbon in our soil and forests. They will extend our reliance on fossil fuels and further enrich the wealthy who are pushing this greenwashing scam. But there is also a lot of good news. The No Iowa CO2 Pipeline Coalition, comprised of 6 environmental nonprofits, is very strong because we learned a lot from the DAPL struggle. We have organized well over 1,000 landowners across the state who have joined the Resistance Coalition and are committed to refusing to sign voluntary easements. They also have access to experienced law firm, which is representing a huge collective of landowners in 4 states threatened by these CO2 pipelines and threatened by eminent domain. Additionally, 44 of the 56 affected counties in Iowa have filed objections with the IUB. I need to add that the pipeline companies have been using manipulative pressure, outright lies, and illegal tactics to get landowners to sign easements. This is currently the biggest environmental threat we face in Iowa. History tells us that actions speak louder than words. Women's suffrage, the Environmental Protection Agency, civil rights legislation, all happened because citizens took to the streets and spoke truth to power. They made good trouble big time, and they prevailed. As you leave the sanctuary, one of the ushers and 2 of the doors will hand you one of these forms. It's called an Engaged Activism Self-Reflection Survey. And I put this together with my friend Judy, who's here today from Portland, who I met on the Climate March. There's a place for everyone in this struggle. This is not anything you're going to turn in. You fill it out. It's for your own self-awareness and to challenge yourself, perhaps to make some different choices or new choices. There's a place for everyone in this struggle for a more just and livable future. Please listen to your heart to find where your place is and find opportunities that fit. And for those of you at home, we will send out a copy of this in Wednesday's email because I can't hand it to you here. You're not here today, but you'll have your chance to use this self-reflection survey. And you can make some good trouble on your way out the door when you sign a CO2 pipeline objection card that we will send to the IUB, the Iowa Utilities Board, who are going to make the decision about whether or not to allow these in Iowa. There's a table in the atrium. You can see Deb Schollerman there, and it'll take, all you have to do is look at it, sign your name, and if you wish to write additional comments, feel free, but you don't have to. Put them in the box. We will mail them to the Iowa Utilities Board. We need all the badass, good troublemakers we can get for the pipeline effort, as we do for so many other injustices in our country and in our world. Is there a badass sitting next to you? Could it be you?
Thank you so much, Miriam and Sally. How we give, what we do with our lives, our time, and our resources is a reflection of our values. In response to the abundance we are blessed with, every week this congregation donates generously to organizations in the community whose work aligns with our values and principles. As we heard before, our community partner agency this month is the Free Lunch Program. Through Free Lunch Program of Iowa City volunteer teams prepare and serve nutritious meals from noon to 1, Monday through Saturday, all year long. UUS has provided the free lunch meal on the second Friday of every month. UUS members individually and through covenant groups donate funds to purchase meals. And the sanctuary ushers will be collecting the offering. All cash contributions go directly to our community partner agency. You may also contribute by check to assist the community partner, contribute toward your pledge to our society, or contribute to the congregation to provide additional support for operating expenses. Use the memo line to designate the purpose. Finally, you may give electronically by following the link shown on the screen, or you may set up automatic giving through Realm. As we give and receive the offering, may we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts.
One foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love.
Don't give up hope.
Don't give up hope.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
Don't you give up.
Don't you give up.
Keep moving on.
Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front in front of the other one. One foot, and lead with love. You gotta put one foot, and lead with love. Go the other one. One foot, and lead with love.
Lift up your eyes.
Lift up your eyes.
Don't you despair.
Don't you despair.
Look up ahead.
Look up ahead.
The path is there.
The path is there. You gotta put one foot in front in front of the other one. One foot, and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other one. One foot, and lead with love.
I know you're scared.
I know that you're
And
scared.
I'm scared too.
And I'm scared too.
But here I am.
But here I am.
Right next to you.
Right next to you. You gotta put one foot in front in front of the other one. One foot, and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front in front of the other one. One foot, and lead with love. And lead with love. And lead with love. And lead with love.
Nurturing gratitude and how we understand and express interdependence are part of how we live into our Unitarian Universalist faith. May what has been shared today help us more fully affirm our interconnection and live into love and justice. Immediately after the service, we will have time for all to join in conversation and community. If you're online, a link to our Zoom coffee hour rooms is being dropped into the chat. If you're in person, we gather in the fellowship hall, excuse me, or outside if it's nice enough for conversation. Our discussion question, which you may want to chat about during the coffee hour, is: What barriers would you need to overcome in order for you to do good trouble? There are designated not designated troubles. There are designated tables in the fellowship hall if you'd like to join a discussion specifically about this. If you'd like to know more about the resources used in today's service, you can find a bibliography at the end of our email order of service or by using the QR code on your print order of service. And now, to close our service today, we will sing hymn number 168.
Keeping up with the putting one foot in front of the other theme, it's called One More Step. So I'll invite you to rise in body and spirit, and we'll sing this together. One more step, we will take one more step, till there is peace for us and everyone. Will take one more step. One more word, we will say one more word, till every word is heard by everyone. We'll say one more word, one more prayer. We will say one more prayer, till every prayer is heard by everyone. We'll say one more prayer. One more song, we will sing one more song, till every song is sung by everyone. We'll sing one more song.
Words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again. Our benediction today is from Eric Williams. Blessed is the path on which you travel. Blessed is the body that carries you upon it. Blessed is your heart that has heard the call. Blessed is your mind that discerns the way. Blessed is the gift that you will receive by going. Truly blessed is the gift that you will become on the journey. May you go forth in peace.
Amen. Let it be so. Blessed be, blessed be, blessed be.